Hey everybody, this is Chris with Overclockers Club. I've got a cool new switch here from Netgear. This is the all-new GS305EP. So let's see what this switch is all about and why you might need it. Alright, so I got it out of the box, obviously, and have it plugged in. Now again, since it is a PoE or Power over Ethernet switch, that means that each one of these four ports here can power up a PoE device such as a camera like this one, which means that data and power are carried through the Ethernet cable to the camera, so I don't have to use a separate adapter to power the camera. That's one of the beautiful things about PoE or Power over Ethernet. Now this particular switch, the GS305EP, is a 63 watt budget, which means between all of your ports here I've got 63 watts that I can use. And there's another version of this, the 6305EP, so there's actually the same number, but there are two P's at the end. And that one has a slightly higher budget, actually quite a bit higher. It's 120 watts. So since this unit here is has a 63 watt budget, if we look at the adapter here, it is 54 volt DC output, 1.25 amps, which gives you 68 watts, which is your 63 plus a few watts to power the unit. And the connection speed here, you can go up to 1 gigabit on these four ports here. This fifth port here, this is actually more, I believe this is like your uplink port. So this is your Ethernet coming into the switch, and then these are your devices that you'll connect to those four ports there. And looking at the lower left, you can see there is a power LED, and then there's a PoE max, which is going to be your over current or over power. If you draw too much current, too much power, then that LED will be like a fault to let you know that you're pulling too much through there. On the other side, you can see on that corner there's the reset button. It's a small little hole there. Actually, you would use like a paper clip to push in the reset button there. The bottom of the switch has those keyhole slots there, so you can mount this on a wall or anywhere you want to mount it actually, and you can secure it with some screws. It's got four little rubber feet at the corners to keep it from slipping around, and then on the back there's your security lock, and then the socket there for your power input. Overall, aesthetically, I think it's a nice looking switch. It's typical Netgear quality. The fit and finish and the texture of the surface there is all what I usually expect to see from Netgear. I see no flaws or defects there. And now I'll go ahead and talk about, let me bring the slide up. Here you go. This here has the basic information about the switch. Of course, it's a 4-port PoE plus, 63 watt PoE budget. For this particular model, there is a 120 watt version. It has the PoE controls through the interface. You can log into this. This is a managed switch, so you can log into this through a browser and you can access the functionality of the switch. It has a nice VLAN capability, quality of service, port trunk, static LAG for your link aggregation, port mirroring, rate limiting, broadcast storm control, IGMP v3 snooping, loop detection, and MAC address aging timeout in 300 seconds. Now, I've been using this switch for about a month and I've had no issues with it at all. I've had up to 3 PoE cameras plugged in and it barely gets lukewarm, if that. The power supply stays cool also, so I don't have any concerns about the switch overheating or getting too hot. Of course, like I said, I'm running at or below the PoE max budget there as far as wattage. So next, I'll log into the browser here and briefly run through some of the screens.
Okay, so this is the main login screen here. This is what you would get after you enter the IP address of the switch. But in order to find that, if you don't know how to do that manually, you go to the Netgear website and you download the Netgear Switch Discovery tool, which scans your network and shows you the IP address, and you can then enter that and get into the management part here. So first thing there's system info. This shows you your MAC address, your serial number. Next one is port LEDs. You can turn them on or off. I always like mine on. IP address, this is your DHCP on. You can look at this information here if you need to. Going back, We also have the lag or the link aggregation. You can turn that off or on or assign it to whichever port you want, which of course that brings us over to the switching section. So we've got quality of service. You can turn that off or on. And you can look at this information here. Here's your VLAN or virtual local area network. You can set that up. Multicasting. Got things here you can set and adjust. Of course, we already looked at the link aggregation. Here's power over Ethernet. You can disable different ports if you don't want them to be PoE capable. Here's your diagnostics. You can look at the cables for each one of the ports. Loop detection, you can turn that on or off. Here are your port statistics to show you the data that is being sent and received. Here's port mirroring control. And the last tab here is settings. You've got the configuration file where you can store everything that you've just set up here in these other categories. So if you ever reset the switch, you can read that information back in. Power saving mode, you can turn that on or off. Again, here's turning your LEDs on or off. Switch discovery. Firmware, reboot the switch if you want. Control the access. DOS or denial of service prevention. Here's the restore everything to the factory defaults. Change your password. And then finally the product registration. So this is basically the interface you have to manage the switch.
Also, keep in mind this is a beta unit or a testing unit, pre-production, so the actual version that you would purchase might look a little different, although it probably won't, but you never know. Anyway, if you ever wonder what the inside of these look like, I took the two screws out of the back and popped the top off. There's really not much in there that is all that exciting, but if you ever wondered what the inside looked like, well, there you go. Alright, so wrapping this up, here is the pricing information for the two different models that are coming out. The GS305EP, which is this one here, and the GS305EPP. I think for what you get, a gigabit, 4-port power over Ethernet, managed switch, I think that's really the sweet spot for products in this category. So I think it's a decent price. Again, you can buy just a managed switch that is not PoE, or you can buy a PoE switch that is not managed. But this is the best of both worlds. So this is Chris with Overclockers Club. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.